Hi there. Welcome to the RAMS Agents Production Coaching Call. The goal of the call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeat referral closings by implementing the referral agent mastery system into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, co-founder of RAMS Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, a master trainer of RAMS Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Hello, everybody. Glad to see you guys and glad to be here.
Good to have you here, Angela. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start off with some good news. Who has some good news they'd like to share?
I'll start. I went on a second appointment yesterday for a listing, and everything seems to be moving forward. We still are waiting on them to get an answer from their relocation on that kind of thing, but they may decide to just move forward regardless. But we have put a strategy plan for them to get the listing ready. And that way, when they are ready, they're ready to go. So, yeah, it was a good appointment yesterday.
So you're positioning yourself as the backup plan.
The backup, the first plan, and also just, yeah, being offering assistance and, trying to be there throughout this process because relocating is a very stressful and unpredictable process.
Yeah, now these are not past clients, right? This was a referral.
Right, correct.
And you're using the strategy of act as their agent, even if you're not their agent yet.
Good point. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's important for everybody to know. See, Angela's been around a while, many, many years, uh, and knows that acting like their agent is almost as good as being their agent when um, you're trying to line up that client to hire you over anybody else. So a lot of agents will withhold their services and not provide any service until the client signs on the dotted line. I used to do that. But a better strategy is to act like their agent, just treat them as though they've already hired you, right up to the point that they actually do hire you.
Exactly. Yes. We're just building a relationship. And so, one thing that I can offer that just takes a little bit of time is home prep recommendations, staging recommendations. So that's what we did yesterday. And, exactly. So I think that that's building a great reputation for me because I came as a referral. So each time that I offer value, then it just, makes us have a stronger relationship.
Excellent. Well, this is being recorded, and so anybody that's watching this after the fact, love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, whether you think that you should act like their agent and start providing service to them before they've actually hired you or not. Um, Let us know what you think about that. I'd be interested. I know there are restrictions as far as you can't put them in the MLS and the like. Um, but you're providing service is what we're talking about. Angela's going far beyond just a listing presentation. All right, so let's go ahead and thank you, Angela, by the way, for sharing that good news. Anyone else have some good news you'd like to share?
Mike, I have some decent news.
Oh, let's hear it,
I mean,
Thomas.
I've been working on them. I mean, I've got two upcoming listings, but I've got four closed last week. Um, Three were repeat, and one of those were a referral out of state for 40% return on commission. Um, and so I thought that was pretty decent. I should have six or seven by the end of this week.
That's fantastic, Thomas. Congratulations. What a great month.
I think
Um,
so. We're building something a little bit different, but I need to show agents how to do it. So I'm kind of utilizing you as a mentor, and I've I've followed your program for years now. So yeah.
Thank you, Thomas. Now, these four that closed last week, you said three of them were past clients, and then one was a referral.
That's right. Three past clients and one referral.
Okay.
I got a call yesterday from another one. So, I've got quite a few in the database, and we just actively engage them continually. So whether it be a bomb video or what's great about Follow Up Boss and not plugging them, but now you can just uh, myself or an agent could click on an AI generated text, whether it's a follow up or an introduction or something like that, and it just scripts it out and you send it. So you can blast through 50 in like 20 minutes, very easily.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, how you're staying in touch with your past clients. Are you
Uh-huh.
following a systematic approach? And if so, what is it? What does it look like?
Yeah, so I use Ylopo, right, on the back end with some AI, and I try to do my own through Nate. It's structurally, but I think Ylopo has gotten a bit better on their AI system and Follow Up Boss. Those two integrate very, very well. And so that's really how I do it. It's not, of course, you build out your action plans based on what type of stage they're in, and I have a pretty methodical stage alignment outside of what they suggest, but it allows me to track anything from those coming in new. It allows me to track agents in our area, and then of course the AI is communicating with them right off the bat. So it makes it a little bit easier when you have some of that help. I've also brought in a kind of a computer specialist who's pretty good too. So yeah.
Very good, Thomas. Couple other quick questions as we're all getting to know you a little better. Your past client database. How many people are in the database? The past clients.
Well, I have about 4,000, just a little over right now. There's about 8,000 in the system, but another half of those are agents.
Good. So you've got 4,000 past clients in the database.
Okay, I'm sorry. They're not past clients, excuse me. Yeah, wrong. That is not the case. I have several hundred in there, past
Okay.
clients.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're narrowing in on the what we call the PCSOI, the past clients and sphere of influence. So it sounds like you got maybe a couple hundred past clients.
A few
And
hundred.
then we also have another group we call sphere of influence. And the way we classify those people are if you're walking down the aisle of the grocery store one direction and they're walking up the aisle the other direction, and you look up and you see each other, you would recognize each other and you could strike up a conversation. So how many of the people in the database fit that category of the SOI?
Oh gosh, at least a couple hundred. But I'm just not. That's the type of person I am. Is two so years later, I'll see them in the grocery store, and we'll talk for 30 minutes. My ability to follow up that SOI has not been good. I'm horrible at it. I take way too much time, and I like doing other things, and I talk forever.
Yeah, maybe we can help you here with RAMS and systematize some of this. Uh, I was just trying to get an idea of numbers and ratios because I like to run those in my mind and see how we're doing and kind of the health of your repeat and referral. And it sounded really good that you had the four closings. So I was trying to put that together. Well, how big is your database? And it sounds like your PCSY may be around 400. And I realize we're just doing rough estimates at this time. How many repeating referrals do you think you'll close either this year or did you close last year?
And those aren't closings. I'm talking about signed listing agreements. Okay. So last year I didn't do that many. Reason why I was in another business, so I decided to come back into brokerage and do something else. I was making teeth for the last year and a half, 2 years. Yes, overseas, importing them, designing them overseas, etc. So I decided to come back in because we had I don't want to get off on a tangent, but in any case, Yeah, I just got back in and decided to run this again. I'd pretty much shut down most of the systems except for some of them in the follow-up boss I've always kept. That just kind of, you know, kept up with them every now and then, sending them out. What was it really as an active, what you would consider what I'm doing today?
Got it, Thomas. And sorry for putting you on the spot. I just love stories, and I know you got a really great story. But I'll take you off the hot seat for a little bit there. We'll come
It's
back to
okay.
it. We'll get back
Thank
into it.
you.
I'm always also looking for learning opportunities, and someone who had closed or signed up 4 past clients in a week. I think everybody would like to figure out how to do that. So that's why I
Sure.
was digging in a little bit. So
Yeah.
we'll give you a rest, but good job on signing up your 4 clients last week.
Thank you.
All right, good job, Thomas. All right, who else has some good news they'd like to share with us?
I had a question actually for Thomas. Were those repeats like investor clients, or are these like clients from a few years ago?
Sure. I have 2 commercials out of the 6. So 4 are residential and 2 are commercial.
And do you find a lot of your deals are people that are buying multiple properties?
Um, well, no, not on the investor side. They really, I have one investor that we build with and sell those homes. So we build from the ground up. But outside of that, to me, investors just, they're resource hogs. And so they take all your time for, little reward is the way I see it. But the investor that I've made the most money off of, and we've sold probably 10 homes. That's one that I kept with last, of course, through the years. I found him off an $18,000 lot, by the way. And you provide the same level of service that you would for a 1.8, right? And that's what happened. Find out he's getting into building and things one thing led to another. And honestly, he's been my most rewarding client out of my entire brokerage history. $18,000 lot. Yeah,
That's a great story. Yeah, you never know where the origin's going to be, do you?
you really don't, which is crazy. I'd never thought about it, but it just happened that way. And now we build and a couple Cameroonians and I was to build projects and it's pretty easy. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a story I hear often. We've got another person that we coach with, and uh, she just had a similar story happen where she helped somebody close on a 1.2 purchase, and then just listed their 850 listing, so $2 million in sales, and that started with I'm thinking it was an $18,000 lot, maybe it was something under $20,000 that most people might have ignored. And you just never
Yeah.
know where these little deals could lead.
I have another one that I worked with the constable out in Arizona and found him a small lot downtown. This was years ago. And, you start doing a research. I got him 5 properties for the price of one. The downtown where, it's pretty decent now. That was in the fall of the market. Phoenix hit pretty hard.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Thomas. All right, Tristan. So, Tristan, did you have some good news you'd like to share with us?
No, no new news from our last meeting.
All right, cool. All right, cool. Thanks for asking the question. Again, we run this as a mastermind. So, everybody feel free to jump in, ask questions, get clarity. All right, Blake, you got some good news you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. I had a good weekend showing houses to someone that was referred to me, and took him around. He'll be a first-time home buyer. Took him around a particular area, and we went through 4 houses and gave him some better understanding of the community. And we're gonna revisit again in about 2 or 3 weeks, looking at some additional houses, and he's going to be buying a house because he's moving to the area. So that's a good thing. That's a great thing.
That
I
is a great.
also got a lead yesterday through realty.com. And so this was a lead that is came to me free from our brokerage through our brokerage, but it was a investor who needs to sell his rental property locally. He lives in Arizona and needs to sell his Northwest Georgia rental property. So we had a great conversation, and I'm excited about the possibility of that. He is probably talking to some other agents. I don't know that for sure. I just got that feeling from our discussion. So we'll see if I get that opportunity to meet him in person, which is what I wanted to do.
Fantastic, Blake. Good job. Sounds like you followed up right away, which is key. And you're getting into conversation to find out what his motivation is. Is the property occupied?
It is not. It's in between. I guess he had, I say in between. He had a tenant move out. He is traveling in his pickup truck. He and his bride are going to take a trip across the country to see this property and another one they have. And Thomas, I am not in Arizona. I am in Georgia. So this potential client is physically in Arizona, but he is moving to, or I'm sorry, he has property to sell in Georgia. Anyway, he's going to be here to look at the property and consider whether he needs to do repairs and that sort of thing. And so I will have that opportunity to physically meet him um, if he permits. So, because he will be in town at some point early next week.
That's fantastic, Blake. So you got yourself an investor. They're between tenants. That's when investors are most antsy because the cash flow has stopped and the costs are rising. If they're doing fix up, but for at least they have vacancy. If they have a mortgage, they got to make a payment. So this is a great time to be chatting with them about their options as to whether they want to rent again or sell. Also, with the change in the overall market nationally, with what's going on, that may affect their decision. One of the final thoughts here that you can bring up with them is why don't, if he doesn't know which way he wants to go yet, say, well, why don't we do both? Why don't you try to rent it out and I'll try to sell it? Let's just have a little race. Let's see what happens. Let's go for it. And so you can create a little competition, a little bit of fun, but you also are getting your sign out there. You're getting more experience. You may drum up other business just by the fact that you're promoting it. It could be advantageous for you whether it sells or not in the short term. And you built up a relationship with this fella. And for all you know, he owns 28 homes in your area. You don't know all the details yet. So
Actually, I do know this is the only one he owns in my area. He owns one in another state nearby that he's also going to visit. But I did, as part of my conversation, I did determine this was because that was my thought too, was, well, if you've got multiple properties, then this may or may not be one you want to sell. Who knows? But he said, yeah, I want to move this one. It's the only one I have in that area. So anyway, but I love your thought process there, that the idea of let's have some fun with this. It's just have a competition. I don't know that he's going to want to try and rent it out. I don't think he does. He has a property management company that's been doing that. But I am under the impression from our discussion that he is deciding, and that's why I contacted or put his lead in there he is deciding to sell it.
good. And if for any reason he shifts and he rents, the other statement you can make is, hey, would you like to buy more property in the area?
Yeah, there you
Right, so
go.
you're shifting the other direction. Well, these are things that people forget in the heat of the moment because they're thinking only sell, sell, sell. And there's a lot of other options. It's a relationship. So see what other connections you could make. Good job, Blake. I can't wait to hear what happens there. That's great news. And when you also mentioned you were working with that buyer out in the field,
Hmm.
and you were saying they were learning about the community, all true. You're also learning about the buyer, right? You're
Absolutely.
learning what they like, what they dislike, where they want to go. I'm sure you're taking lots of notes and you can help direct them to the opportunities that look like a better match now that you've had a little more time with them.
Yeah, and that's, you were talking earlier about Angela providing services before, she actually has a client. Well, because of realtor regulations, I certainly had an agreement, and actually state regulation in Georgia. I had my agreement in place before we actually started looking at homes. But to Angela's point there, I still knew this was the first time these folks had stepped foot in my community in Chattanooga and Northwest Georgia. It's the first time they'd ever been here. So it was very important for them to just get a feel for the lay of the land, and they got to do that with my guidance and my discussion about what we were seeing. So I looked at it totally as a relationship building and trust building between and learning both of them learning me and me learning them as we went.
Good job, Blake. Good job. I like it. Like what I'm hearing. That's great news. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. All right, let's do this. At this point in the call, I'd like to open it up for any issues or hot topics that you all would like to talk about. Again, this is a production meeting. We're talking about how do you sell more homes? Are you running into any challenges you would like the group to help assist with? Do you have any questions about how things work either currently or as you're building out your future vision? Are there any topics you'd like us to drill down into to get some clarity?
Yeah, it's about CRM. So I recently started using CRM more, uh, just more often and more diligently, adding the leads that I'm getting from prospecting into there. But I was curious, Thomas, because the same company you mentioned is what I've been using, but I've never used the text feature or the automated messages you're talking about. And I was just curious, did you follow like I guess they have different systems that you can put the leads into, right? Or categories or like follow-up systems. So I'm wondering, did you do that or did you make your own? Or if you could maybe give a bit more detail or insight about how I can better leverage Follow-Up Boss to make more sales.
Totally. Yeah, so I mean, I've been using Follow Up Boss for years. I've used a number of them from Top Producer, Wise Agent, Line Desk, et cetera, et cetera. And I found Follow Up Boss and went back to it. So I created my own stages, right? So my 100 stages. So I have like, of course, you can't change your lead, but your 101 is like attempted. My 102A and 102B is where we've tried to connect with them. A is we've engaged them, uh, but we've not qualified them. They've not committed to us. And then B, 102B is something I can share this with you, is where they've had an active verbal commitment. And then I also have a CD&E for hot, warm, and cold. I decided to see how that worked in it. And then, of course, my threes are where we see their signed agreement or they're an active client currently. That could be a listing or a buyer, right? So I just go down and I kind of found what worked for me and what worked for our company. So I coded them, and so my 900s I know are agents. My 200s, right, are those that I'm not really going to be working with, whether they're a renter or they already have an agent, etc. Junk or a hateful do not contact. So I really drill down in the codes of them. I did circle prospecting. I've done a lot of different things. So my 500s were like in like circle prospecting. So I kind of did it where I had a group of, let's say, 1,000 that I could. So I basically coded them, right? My 100s are my active ones that I'm working with. So however you code the active ones, and I could screenshot. Let me go into it, and I'll just put it in the chat. So yes, I definitely do my stages that way. Um, Texting, if you're not utilizing that or the action plans, you're really missing out on what Follow Up Boss, what you're paying for. You could do Wise Agent. I think that used to be $25 a month or something. I don't know what it is now, but you could do something like that if you're not utilizing the texting features, etc. But you need to really get down to that. And they offer on the action plans, you could go in and search a ton of action plans from other people who've shared them. So there's an option to share. So you can be holiday plans or whatever type of plan that you think you need, a long-term plan, short-term, immediate 20-day action plan, whatever it may be.
Got
Does
it.
that help?
Yeah, big time.
You definitely need to go into some of the training on the videos because it's a process over time to start learning kind of some of the best engagement and best practices for that.
Will do. Thank you.
CRMs, yeah, get one yeah, definitely, definitely. You go crazy otherwise.
Thomas, do you have you said you have a group of agents as well. Are you following up with both of them with Follow Up Boss?
Yeah,
The
so right now I have three agents. They're all in Follow Up Boss, but they're two of them are my partners, and we're building from that. So I basically shut everything down to my core agents. I've had one since the beginning of my time, and she's been with me for ever since I've had an agent. And so I have two, and I'm growing out from there. I've made a couple calls. For me to recruit, get agents, it's not that hard. Wise Hire is a good platform. If you want agents to come in, and then you can import data sets from your state. I know in Texas we can, and we can just download the Excel sheet, find out who's in your area, qualify, sort it, query it, and then import it. So,
are
do I
you
have
using Follow
agents
Up Boss?
helping? Maybe I got off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're good. And so are you using Follow Up Boss to follow up with your agents too, like the potential agents?
Yes, yes, we're starting that now. I now have alleviated some time for me to focus on that.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Cool. Tristan,
I
you got
also
anything
have one.
there?
I should say I also have an assistant overseas, so that helps. She's a VA in the Philippines. I've worked with her for years, so yeah.
How'd you find that VA, Thomas?
I went to the site VA. Forgot. Let me see. Anyhow, it's a VA site in the Philippines, and they have a board that all the people come into from the Philippines, and you could just, I think it's $100 every month, $79, something like that, and you can just put in what you're looking for, and you will get thousands. I mean, literally, they are so hungry for work over there. The one thing that you got, I mean, depending on what you're looking for, right? Are they grammatically sound? Can they articulate, etc.? I haven't had a 9 or a 10 out of 10 yet. I don't think anybody is, but I'm just saying that nobody could tell that they were from overseas. So you've got to utilize that carefully. So if they're engaging contacts on a first or second point, just calling, because I've had them do that, that really didn't work for me. I ran that for 4 months, actually just recently, and you know, part of it was my fault, I'm sure, but it was just a train wreck. So I just went her back into assistant mode. It's hard to find them with the grammar, but if they're task oriented. So if you assign them a task, you tell them what you need it done, they'll get it done.
Cool. Thank you, Thomas. Tristan, I'm going to go back to your CRM question uh, just to do a little add on there. What basically, Tom, I'm just going to try to summarize what I heard Thomas say there, and I agree with him. Is number one, you need a labeling system, whatever. I have not used Follow Up Boss, so I'm not sure what they call it, but typically it's some kind of labeling or classification where you're grouping these people that have similar somethings, right? So he was saying, hey, people have an urgency, or no, I'm never going to work with these people again. You're doing some kind of labeling. That's to group them so that you can work with them. And part of that labeling is you're going to want to create a flow, right? The stages that you're bringing them through from, hey, I just met these people to, or I just got this lead to I've been following up with them to I've got them pre-qualified. You heard Thomas say, I've got them listed, and you're taking them a flow all the way down into a closing and then a post-closing follow-up system. So that's labeling. The second part of that is this walking them through the stages. So you're going to want to have that set up in your system. Before we go and get too deep into the weeds on all that, I just want to mention one last thing, and that is you want to keep it simple. You really want to keep it as simple as possible. The more labels you have and the more stages you have, it's the more confusion you have. So if you just create a simple follow-up system, it's going to be your best follow-up system because it's going to actually happen. Okay. So Tristan, I know a little bit about what you're doing. You're going out at the door, you're meeting people, you're getting their contact information, and then you're following up. I believe you have a monthly email that you're sending out for a newsletter, right? So for instance, you can label them, hey, these people are going to get the monthly newsletter. And that's part of your follow-up. And then you label them, hey, these were door leads. That's the way you know the source of the business. If they ever end up closing, you know that it came from the doors. You'll also know that the people at the door, I'm going to be sending them out my newsletter. And so you label them on that. And then you're going to do some kind of follow-up phone call or door knock based on their urgency, right? Did they have a timeline that they were trying to meet? Were they going to be transacting some kind of real estate, say in the next 90 days? Well, that's somebody you want to be talking to, what, weekly? If they're beyond that, let's say they're under 6 months, well, now that you want to contact them every 2 weeks, right? You want to have that as part of this follow-up system. Sometimes they'll call it a campaign. I heard the word action plan, so that could be the other term you're looking for, where there may be pre-designed ones, which is fine, but you really want to get one that you like, that makes sense to you and is very simplistic. These real complicated ones are pretty, but they're hard to implement. Just keep it simple. Just keep it simple. A phone call, a door knock, the email, maybe you'll send them out a card, all the things we've talked about in the RAMS program. Just keep it very simplistic. You're going to have higher results. For instance, you might want to drop them into a monthly mailer that you send out. You're sending this out to all your leads. It's very generic. You only have to create one of them and it goes out to everybody. It's just like your monthly email, right? You create it once, it goes out to many. It's covering a lot of people. You can drop these leads into these buckets where it's kind of like an auto follow-up sequence for these longer term nurtures. Does that make sense, Tristan?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so just if my advice here is if it starts to feel too complicated, back up and don't implement it. Just keep it simple. You're not going to do it if it's too complicated.
That
Got
is
it.
1000% true until you get the system, and they have the stages already built in there. It's just when you start importing different types of things, once you get familiar with the system, my agents only typically use the hundreds, but A, B, C, hot, warm, cold, lead, just keep it as simple as possible. Yes, absolutely.
Tristan, did we help you answer your question about follow-up boss and CRMs?
Yeah, big time. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'll put one final thing in there, and that is I'm very proud of you for taking those leads and getting them into the CRM. The number one reason to do that is so you can see them all at a glance or access them quickly. And basically, so you'll reach out, right? You'll reach out. Where is the fortune in real estate?
It's in the follow-up.
That's right. The fortune is in the follow-up. You're doing a great job on the front end on that lead gen. Now you got to make sure you stay in touch with those leads so that they're nurtured and they become yours. You're not going to capture all of them. There's no way to capture all of them, but you can increase the percentage of the ones you do capture with a great follow-up plan and implementation. But that's why I'm saying keep it simple and keep it automated as possible. That's why I mentioned the monthly email you're doing. You just make sure you send it out once a month. It goes out to all the people on that group. The monthly mailer is an example, same thing. You just create one and it goes out to everybody. You don't have to overthink it. It's just happening. There you go. You got 2 contacts to them every single month. They're just happening in the background. The final statement there is nothing replaces a face-to-face or a phone call, right? Face-to-face is the most powerful, which you're doing because you're willing to knock on doors. So that could just be part of your follow-up plan. Hey, I'm just going to go by and knock on their door and see how they're doing, and I'll knock on 20 doors around them while I'm doing it. That ain't a bad plan, right? That gets you out in the field. Since you like doors, that's a great way to go. That's why I'm saying you modify the program to adopt to you, not the other way around, not you trying to adopt yourself to some program somebody made somewhere who probably isn't even in real estate. If you understand what I'm saying, like some programmer just created it. You create a program that works for you in the way you like to operate. But you want to either be reaching out to them by door, face-to-face, which is the strongest, face-to-face. And then the next thing would be by phone. Those have to happen at some point where they hear your voice, you hear their voice in these strong leads. That's where you're building relationship. The email and the mail, they're just little touch points to just say, hey, remember me. You're just saying, you're just reminding them about yourself. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Again, just create a simple system. Angela, do you have anything else to say about CRMs, follow-up systems, et cetera? I know that's an area you know as well.
Sure. And I will say that all agents that I've worked with have all struggled with staying up with a complicated CRM. And my advice would be, like Mike just said, to start with one thing, sending out the monthly newsletter, and then adding something else. Like once you have that that process and that template created and that system, and then add, and then you'll have a process for new leads that come in one way, and maybe a different process for new leads that come in door knocking, but keeping it simple. Like you already have the new people that you meet door knocking, you follow up with a mailed card or something like that. So making sure that you're doing that before you just start to try to add too much onto your plate. Yep.
Tristan, a good one in follow-up, boss, that'll allow you to stay in touch with them monthly is the holiday plan. Just go in and search holiday plans, and every month there's a holiday, and everybody gets a holiday, right? And so at least you're at least every month, and they might not see it or open it every month, but at least that month they're getting something from you, and everybody can get one of those. You're not having to break it down by stage or whoever it is. You just everybody gets one.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good advice. Good job. Good job. I like it. So a couple quick things. One, I like what Angela just said about after you knock on their door at the end of that day, this should be part of your system. You send them out a personal note. So now they just saw your face, and now they're going to get something in the mail. Just more connections, right? More and more connections. That 8x8 idea. If you want to dominate anybody's mind, you send them 8 messages or have 8 contacts with them in 8 weeks. Boom, all of a sudden they can't forget about you. And you're just right there. That's been around a long time, and because it's effective. All right. The other thing is keep these plans. These plans have to be yours. That's why it's kind of hard for us to talk about. And Thomas shared his is very unique to him. And if we saw it, we'd probably understand it better. But the big key you want to pick out of this is it's got to be unique to you. Long ago, I was trying to ramp up my practice, and I knew I needed checklists for, say, under contract, between under contract and close, and then once it goes under closing, from the time it goes to the under contract to close was the big one, but also listing is what I was trying to think of, the listing and the marketing plan. And so I went out and I was searching all over the place, and I was getting frustrated, and I finally went to a top producer and I bought their checklist. I just said, I'll pay you for it. And they gave it to me. Well, they sold it to me. And I got this thing and I'm like, wait a minute, like 80% of this doesn't even apply to me. I mean, what am I going to do with this? I just bought nothing. It doesn't help me other than to understand they were structured. I did see that they were structured and I saw there was a flow, but it didn't apply to me because my market's different, my state's different, my rules are different, the way I operate is different. And so that taught me you really have to take the time to make your own checklist. So as I'm advising and helping agents, I take them through when they get into this process. I'm starting to help them walk through and make those checklists. It just takes time because it has to be customized. In fact, I was just flashing back. I think Tristan, you and I talked about this years ago, right? Making checklists.
Yeah, definitely got to modify it to be up to date because having this system is key now that I'm getting all of these leads. It's not possible to keep them in my brain anymore. So
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have. That means you're right on track. Good job, Tristan. Make it simple is my last statement there. I see we're coming down to the end of our time together. So I'm going to wrap up the production side of our meeting. Thank you so much for being here for that. I hope it was helpful in some way. And we're going to open up and go into our huddle real quick. Number one thing you did yesterday to move your business forward. Number one thing you're going to do today to move your business forward. So there's 2 questions for you. Who would like to start?
I'd like to start, please. Number one thing yesterday was I wrote an offer with the client that I looked at properties on Sunday. So it's irrevocable to the end of today, so we'll see.
Nice.
And then number one thing for today is prospecting. So I'm going door knocking after this meeting. And my goal is to hit at least 150 doors.
Woo, big goal, big goal. God, that's great. Massive action for massive results. Good job, Tristan. That's great. Can't wait to hear how that comes down, and good job on the contract. All right, good. Who'd like to go next?
I'll jump in there. My number one thing yesterday was I would say it was my conversation with the out of town, the Arizona property owner that or the Georgia property owner who lives in Arizona. That was my best thing to move my business forward. Today, it's going to be following up with my listing client with my weekly report because we've had his listing now on the market for right at 1 week, and I'm going to have a full email listing report to give him, marketing report, and then I will also call him because we actually interact quite a bit on the phone.
Excellent, Blake. So now this is your new listing. This is the land listing.
That's correct. This is the land listing.
Good. And you're talking about giving your follow-up reports, your weekly reseller report, where you're going to send them an email with all this data and information. Then you follow up with a phone call. Have you established a day of the week, a day and time that you will contact him? You know the day and time, and he knows the day and time?
Yeah, he does not know the day and time. I wanted to get this first week rolling, and I felt like I've always done this at 1 week, 1 week intervals, generally from 1 week from when we started the listing, which was last Tuesday. That's when it actually hit the MLS later in the day on that Tuesday. You may remember our mastermind meeting on Tuesday morning. I had put the signs out at dusk on Monday night. And so I had several calls come in in the morning while we were on this call. And so I was managing some phone calls just from the signs right away. And then anyway, so we're just hitting 1 week. So I will communicate that with him though. And today will be the start of that because I'm going to show him how that report is going to look. Now he'll understand what the report's going to look like and how we're going to the report's going to be the basis for my phone call. I'll create the report and then I'll go ahead and hit send. Perhaps he'll see it before I may, but whether he does or not, I'll call him a little bit after I send him the email.
Blake, this will become part of your program, your listing and selling program, and official. And as you ramp up, you have to imagine, what would I do if I had 5 listings?
Yeah.
What would I do if I had 10? What if I had 20? I had 50 signs out at one point, right? So what are you going to do if you have 50 sellers? You've got to organize this in a way that you are optimizing your time and you're creating the greatest benefit for them and for you as well. And so the way you do it is you systematize it. And so you're going to call, you tell them you're going to call them on a certain day and time. Now, when you have a bunch, it's going to be a range of time.
Sure.
But for instance, I'd say, look, I'm going to call you sometime Tuesday between 10 and 12. That's when I do my seller reports. I'll be emailing that out to you in the morning. Don't call me right away. I'll think about your questions. I'll be reaching out to you so we can talk about it. Be looking for my call. Now, I've told them that at the listing presentation. So it's all part of the program. That's their expectation going in. They know we're going to have this conversation. I've explained the power and the benefit of it at that listing presentation. They're looking forward to it. The other reason it's powerful is because then they're not bugging you every day of the rest of the week, okay? Because you can't do that when you're trying to juggle 50. So you just say, look, just call me with an emergency the rest of the time, but we're going to be talking every single week on Tuesdays. And I'm going to give you a full formal report to let you know what's going on. And then boom, you're moving forward. So all I'm saying is to add to your system, add that into the listing presentation for the expectation.
Very good. I appreciate that. Yeah, I did realize, I think you've taught me before, it needs to be the same day of the week, every week. And it probably needs to be a day that I have selected that works for me because I'm going to have multiple listings that I'm handling that with. In this particular case, I don't happen to have a lot of other listings, so this is okay for my starter. But yes, you're exactly right.
And Tuesday is a great day because Monday you're getting back after the weekend, and so is everybody else. With all the showings that occurred over the weekend, you're trying to gather the feedback from any of the agents. You're putting together your report. They want to know what's going on. They want to talk on Monday. And you say, no, we're just gonna wait one more day because I want to get the feedback. And so we're going to create that report for you on a Tuesday. Also, so if you're negotiating any contracts that came in on the weekend, you're probably doing that on a Monday. So you can't reach out that's why you can't reach out on Monday. You got to do it on Tuesday. So there's all these reasons, but I like the day Tuesday to do it. But whatever day you pick, just make it the consistent day.
Very good. Thank you.
You bet, Blake. All right, good. Who would like to go next? Number one thing you did yesterday to move the business.
Hey, I got a question, Blake.
Go ahead.
Tuesdays are good. We used to call it Tuesday huddles, and we still do. So, are you competing against any other agents on your listing presentation? Oh, you're listing.
I guess I rarely am actually. It's rare because I'm primarily getting them from referrals. This particular one that came from realty.com, and this is a seasoned investor, I would expect that I'm going to be competing. He didn't actually tell me that he's going to talk to other agents. I just assume he's going to because he didn't know me and he just got my name because I followed up after he entered his information in realty.com.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the reason why I asked, most agents will come in with a CMA, right? Everybody's heard of a CMA.
Yeah.
You want to bust on those right off the bat. See, I don't know who does CMAs anymore. I mean, that's like driving in the rearview mirror and trying to go forward. What I'm going to do is a comprehensive marketing report, and I'm going to analyze it from a marketing perspective, what a buyer would put a price per square foot on it, and an appraisal analysis. I'm going to give you a marketing analysis and appraisal analysis. So I don't know who do CMAs anymore. I mean, that's 20, 30 years ago. So right off the bat, when you're competing with anybody who comes in with a CMA, you just elevated yourself up one. At least, you're trying to get any edge you can, right?
Sure, sure. No,
So
that's a great
so right off the bat,
yeah.
just kill 90% of your competition.
So you called them marketing
I
analysis
have a strategic marketing analysis is what I
strategic.
call it. But
Okay.
you can have it a comprehensive marketing analysis, whatever. But I do a marketing analysis and an appraisal analysis. Now I don't have an appraiser's license, but I look at it from an appraisal standpoint. When we're doing BPAs, et cetera,
Uh-huh.
broker price opinions. Yeah. So anyhow, that's just something I just wanted to try to see if I can help you out.
No, that's great,
If you
Thomas. I
have
appreciate that because what you
competition, everybody's doing CMAs. Don't do CMAs.
yeah, yeah.
They're
So
brain.
what you're
They're
doing
brain.
is just framing the entire
Absolutely.
activity that is so common, and we're all taught to do that.
That's right.
So you're framing that whole activity as that's old school, man.
That's
Let's
30
step it
years
up.
ago. I mean, are they still bringing out papers? What's going on here?
That's great.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thank you, Blake. Angela, what do you got?
So yesterday I had the second part of I would call it the listing presentation. And I did want to kind of go back and just say that by offering services, none of that was actually real estate services that I would need to have a listing agreement to be able to do. So those services where we were talking about price again, recent activity, their situation, their timeline, and then walking through the house and giving some ideas of what they can work on. And today, I am going to send out a reminder email about our event that we have Saturday. That's probably the biggest thing that I need to take care of. So, and then I'll be traveling Thursday to Oklahoma for the event.
Excellent, Angela. And you got a big event this weekend. Can't wait to hear how it goes. So this is event marketing to get more repeat and referrals. Um, have you been able to reach out to all your past clients in your sphere of influence to let them know about that? I know last week you were saying you had that lined up.
Yeah, I still have a handful of people I need to reach out to. So I and it's interesting because there's people that I think about that aren't on my actual list of people that I'm like, oh, they should be on there. Because I think, oh, I need to invite that person, and then why haven't I yet? Well, because they're not on my list yet. So it's been helping me with, making sure that everybody is getting added. And one really neat thing is the lender partner that I have here in the Houston area. He is licensed in multiple states, and he's helped me with um, sales in Oklahoma. And he's actually going to make a trip as well and join me at the event and help out. So that'll be really cool. Yeah, that I have support, like in both states. So
Yeah, that's fantastic, Angela. Crossing two states to service people in both cities that are far away from each other. That's pretty cool. All right. Good luck with that. I can't wait to hear. Good luck on the event this upcoming weekend. Thomas, would you like to share what number one thing you did yesterday to move your business forward, and number one thing you're going to do today?
Sure. But real quick, Angela, I heard you last week, and what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. Your event marketing, I mean, what brokerage are you with?
So I'm with Epic Realty, but in my previous brokerage I was with for 17 years, I ran their event marketing,
I
managed
mean,
it.
I would love to speak at. I mean, you'd be the chief officer of event marketing. You could. I mean, you just if you could. That's a niche that people like a lot. I couldn't do it. like a lot of women could do because they just love being able to put all that stuff together. I've got daughters that are great at that. And that is a special skill.
But
And
I think
so, yeah.
you would be great at the events. And so, right, if you have somebody that can help you with some of the marketing tasks, your assistant but you would be, I can tell that you're the kind of guy that if you're at the event, everybody,
Uh-uh.
would be awesome. So,
Uh-uh. I'm talking about you. I'm not,
yeah,
yeah,
but you can do it.
yeah, I think you sent me your email. So yes. Okay, good. That's
Mhm.
you. I get a name to the face now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I cut you off and didn't let you tell your number one
Oh,
thing.
I didn't
So,
care. I was just I because I just want to say that that is a niche that you could just I mean, you could not only recruit, but you could gain tons of business, especially in the luxury side. I mean, you kill it. So that's a talent. So you should keep up with that. I heard it last week. I was like, man, I wish I could connect with that. But anyhow, um, okay. So sorry. I've yesterday I set up a meeting for next week with the president of a mortgage company and the vice president out in Arizona. So bring that into the system. Um, and then today, I guess the top thing is. I've got some marketing that I've got to look at. I've got two meetings under PPC. One's an internal guy that I found through Fiverr that I've worked with for a couple of years now. He's one of the top out of he's a good guy. So if anybody needs it, he's really good on building the back end system for PPC, measuring it, and then running the campaign. So and then through Ylopo, I've got a couple questions on how to if they I want to market a specific property. I've got a client who wants to spend $3,000 on a budget just to market their property, and to do that under PPC, nobody's searching keywords on addresses, so you've got to break it into a category, and so. I'm working on that today. Those are my two yesterday and today.
Cool, Thomas. Thanks for
Yes, sir.
sharing. I can't wait to hear what that turns into. Um, and thank you for the kind words for Angela and her event marketing. She is an expert, and can't wait to see what she does with this big event coming up. All right, so I'll share real fast. Yesterday, spoke with a past client who was thinking about getting their home on the market. I've even been out to their house. I've been trying to convince them to go another route first, and had to do it again yesterday. They're so close to doing this alternative. You got to do what's in the best interest of the client, even if it's not in your best interest. For instance, they keep wanting to go sell by. If I do that, I'd probably earn about $35,000. I don't think that's the right move for them. I think they need to stay put and try to do a refinance instead. And I'm trying to convince them to do that to solve their issue that they're working through. Uh, and I've actually pulled in the person that could help them do that from the other side, which is starting to move forward and making progress. But I had to reestablish that that's the best alternative for them. So again, it's kind of a higher level where you're trying to counsel people to do the right thing. And because I'm doing that, by the way, they keep coming back to me. They keep wanting to talk more, and they're like, "We got to hire you." And I'm like, "No, you don't. You gotta go do this route first, and extinguish it and see if it's going to work or not, because it'll solve your problem." Anyway, I'm doing that with about 4 different clients right now. I just realized it, and the total potential commission of all of it, I added it up just for fun, about 135 in complete commission. I'm just pushing it all aside because I don't think it's the best option for them right now. And I'm trying to convince them to do these other alternatives first. I assume some of them won't work out and they'll come work with me. But again, I think that's what you got to do, is look for the best interest of the client after you've consulted with them and found out what their true desires and goals are. And I just believe that's going to come back to you sevenfold. I already received a referral from one of them. So anyway, that's just something I did yesterday. And then today, I'm going to follow up on that conversation I had with them. So hope you all have a great and productive rest of your day. It was a good meeting. Did everybody enjoy it today? All right,
Yes,
cool.
thank you.
All right, everyone, take care. Have fun.
Not
Okay,
everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.